Hello and welcome back to another episode of Crash and Learn FPV. Today we're going to continue our noob setup of the Eachine Wizard X220. We are going to desolder the stock LEDs, install a buzzer and VBAT monitoring. I am going to desolder the LED plates that go underneath each of the motors in each of the corners, and I don't want them there because I rather these solder joints underneath here. If you land in like wet grass or whatever, these might short out and fry up your PCB, and I don't want that, and I don't think it looks very good with these anyways. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to desolder them on this side, and then I'm going to move on to the PCB side, find the leads going into the 5 volts and desolder them at the other side as well. So there's the red one and there is the black one. Here are the leads for the LEDs. So now I'm just going to desolder them from the PCB. And hopefully not fry anything. Just lightly touch it, and there it goes. And then just quickly desolder. So there you go. And I've made another mistake. These were wired in parallel, so there's a lead going up to the flight controller, which I suppose is the what feeds the flight controller its voltage, because we still want power to the flight controller. Alright, so I managed to separate the leads, the power leads to the flight controller from the leads going to the LEDs. Apparently they were wired in parallel. Now it's just a matter of removing the power leads that went to the LEDs. And they go underneath the ESCs, so I'm just going to cut the zip tie. There you go. There you go. They're gone. Now I'm just gonna do that for the other 3 motors, then remount the motors. Alright, so the next part of this hardware setup is gonna be installing a buzzer, battery warning and lost model alarm, which will go into these 2 pins, which says buzzer plus and minus. I had a buzzer lying around actually from an old Arduino project's box. And my plan is to not use any cables, but to mount it directly to the board, like so. So I'm gonna have to bend the pins a bit to make it fit. Right, so now I'm just gonna pre-tin the solder pads and solder the buzzer. Alright, that should be enough. Yeah. Feels pretty solid. Now the next step is gonna be wiring 2 leads from the battery main voltage to these 2 pads here, where it says VBAT, positive and negative. And this will allow the flight controller to monitor the current voltage of the actual voltage of the battery, and also enable the flight controller to trigger the buzzer when the battery voltage reaches below a certain set point. Pre-tin. And I'm wiring these so they run on the underside of the flight controller and back to the battery pad is the word I'm looking for. And I'm actually recycling or reusing these the wires that I removed from the LEDs. So, and then I'm gonna cut them to length, and I think there. These silicone wires are really easy to strip. You can practically use your thumbnails to just peel it off a little bit. Now it's just a matter of soldering the VBAT leads to the battery pads. I'll try not to burn another cable while doing so. And the negative lead as well. There's the VBAT leads. Now I'm just gonna connect with Betaflight and see if this actually works, if we get any voltage readings from the battery. Let's connect the USB cable and let's plug in the battery lead. Well, I think I heard a beep that wasn't there before. Let's check into Betaflight for some setup. So I got the Wizard connected with a USB cable. Let's connect in Betaflight. And right now it only shows 0.6 volts because we don't have a battery connected. So let's go into the configuration tab, scroll down and make sure that you enable VBAT, battery voltage monitoring. Then you can set a minimum cell voltage. This is basically gonna set off the buzzer at a constant beep. Maximum cell voltage, I'm not really sure what that does. Warning cell voltage should be slightly higher than the minimum cell voltage. And at this voltage the buzzer will start to beep. So at warning it will start to beep, and at minimum it will be a constant buzzing or beeping. Voltage scale, you can use this to adjust the voltage that the flight controller reads. If it is slightly off, this is where you can scale it up or down to make it correct. So the way I do this is I take a battery voltage checkers, or what they are called, just connect it and it says 12.5 volts. So I'm just gonna make sure that the voltage up here also reads 12.5 volts. So let's connect the battery to the Wizard, and the props are off, of course. And now you can see it reads 12.4 actually. So I might have to adjust my voltage scale on this one. 1 point, same reboot. Alright, now it reads 12.5, exactly as we want it. And these minimum cell voltage and warning cell voltage, I guess they all come down to personal preference, but yeah, these are safe voltages from what I've read. And that's pretty much it for today's Betaflight setup. Let's disconnect, unplug the battery, plug the USB cable, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you like this, and please feel free to comment, like or subscribe for more FPV noob videos. In the next episode we are going to finish up the Eachine setup and hopefully do our maiden flight.